Geoffrey Story's a vegetable grower. He specialises in lettuce, just like his grandfather, who grew them for the fresh market.
He came to Australia early after the Second World War. He started with a little farm in Toowoomba, 5 acres. And him and my grandmother and one or two helpers, they would grow lettuce and they make a living off that.
2 generations later, and this is what their grandson and his wife Anne have built. A multi-million-dollar lettuce growing and processing operation spread across 4 farms around Toowoomba in southeast Queensland. It's 2 businesses really. An outside farming one where 70 staff plant, sow and harvest lettuce, spinach and rocket, and an inside processing one where salad greens are washed, sliced and bagged by 50 staff. After going through here, the value of each lettuce has increased 2.5 times. Anne and Geoffrey, both horticultural agronomists, didn't think they'd get this big.
That wasn't our thinking that we would ever do the volume of product we do and employ the number of people. So it's been a long process, obviously, over 40 odd years of growing from a kind of a small business to a medium-sized family business.
Takes a bit of pinching sometimes. You know, it's been a lot of years of very hard work, but I think all of us can now start to see some of the rewards, but there's still a big path ahead. We've still got lots to do.
The couple moved into processing 30 years ago after getting sick of riding the price roller coaster of the fresh market.
Didn't like that sort of thing where you were putting a lot of product in the ground, spending a lot of money, employing people, and you actually didn't know whether you're going to make money this week or next week or for the whole year, right? It got to the stage where you could go a whole year and not make money.
To get out of the traditional central market system, in the early 90s, the couple looked overseas for inspiration. There they saw 2 emerging trends, the boom in fast food franchising and growing demand for prepped fruit and vegetables. And that's where they headed. This $10 million processing facility, which opened 4 years ago, is a quantum leap from their very basic start.
You'd have a mechanical slicer, yes, but all the trimming and coring was done by hand. So somebody is standing there and coring out the lettuce, and we had multiple people doing that. There'd be a spinning machine to dry it, but the weighing and the packing was done by hand. You know, you'd put it on a packing table and you would fill a bag and you'd look at the scales and you'd do all that by hand.
Now, AI, robots and high-tech cameras mean not as many staff are needed to slice, sort and bag the delicate greens. The Story's son, Nathan, is a mechatronics engineer, which means he's fluent in mechanical, electrical and software engineering and robotics. Much of this is his vision.
Most machines have their own brain that is keeping watch over what they're doing, and then over the top of that we have some other controllers that are making sure that as a group everything's happening the right way. The lettuce sorter is using colour, so red, green and blue like what we see, to find visual defects, so brown spots. It uses infrared transmission, so that's heat passing through the product to find density defects, so if a piece of metal's in the lettuce, it will find that, or a stone. And then you have multi-spectrum laser, so it's looking at the structure of the product, so it can tell the difference between soft and hard at a very fast pace, and then it will eject anything that shouldn't be there.
Produce from here goes to some of the best-known food outlets in the country.
So if you come to Queensland, every sandwich, every burger in Queensland will have our product on it. So that's all the big brands you can imagine.
It helps us plan and invest so that we can do our job better and more efficiently. And it absolutely works better with long-term relationships as opposed to today we've got a customer for it and tomorrow we don't.
We supply Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria. So we have about, in effect, about 2,500 stores that we would supply.
McDonald's is a fairly recent customer.
They've been wonderfully agile, I would say, at working through whatever our ask may be, and it's not easy to become a McDonald's supplier, and they've certainly stood up to that challenge as they came into our family 5 years ago.
McDonald's Senior Director of Supply Chain, Tom Marnie, says reliability is crucial.
Making sure it shows up and that we get supply is critical, and that's not easy in produce, whether it's a rain event or a hail event, there's always something, but the Story family have done a good job.
The Stories have to meet McDonald's strict food safety standards, from the farm to the processing factory and during delivery to capital city distribution centres. This one in Brisbane takes deliveries from Story farms 5 days a week to send on to 229 Queensland restaurants.
It's absolutely critical for our 2 million plus customers that are coming into our 1,000 plus restaurants around the country, that they are able to come in and feel comfortable that the food is safe for them and their families.
Tom Marnie toured the processing factory before it opened and was impressed with Nathan's high-tech vision.
We need that in our suppliers as well. We need them to be able to innovate, bring technology in so that we are then able to lead in terms of whether it's food safety, sustainability, efficiencies within the plant, and certainly Nathan's an asset to have his mind thinking through the best way to do all those things.
Supplying the big brands has given Geoffrey and Anne what the fresh market and supermarkets couldn't. So every lettuce we can see here has a home.
Yes.
And you know what price you're going to get.
That's exactly right.
To minimise the risk of weather events hampering year-round supply, the Stories have 4 farms within an hour of the processing factory. And there are no slow periods.
They need products like ours every day of the year. So for us to have time off, not possible, unfortunately. Daily we plant about 100,000 heads of lettuce, and then weekly it's 500,000. Across the year we do about 18 million heads of iceberg lettuce.
So if you're planting 100,000, does that mean that you also are somewhere else on the farm harvesting 100,000 a day?
That's exactly right. So across the properties we are planting every day, transplanting every day, that little seedling, and every day we're harvesting.
They built the factory bigger than required. So, jokes Geoffrey, when money was needed to expand in a decade's time, it would be Nathan's problem. Well, demand's grown so much, they need more space after just 4 years.
The next stage will give us roughly a 50% increase in capacity, but also improve our flexibility. So we'll have the ability to do more complex products, improve our ability to do shorter runs and things like that. So.
For McDonald's, the expansion is good news.
Certainly something that myself and my team spend a lot of time thinking about, the resiliency of our supply chain for the next 10 years, and to have partners like the Story family that are able to invest, even if it's a little sooner by the sounds of that, Pip, than what they're planning to keep up with that, with our demand and our growth. That's the kind of partners we want to work with.
The expansion will cost millions, and Nathan is in charge. You'd think that Anne and Geoffrey, who are both in their 60s, would be starting to ease up. No. They've just bought a Brisbane food processing business and plan to expand its product range and customer base.
There's an enormous opportunity. We're only just touching on the edges at the moment. That's the synergy that we're looking for, the fact that we can bring the product range that we do, or use some of the products we do, like shredded carrot, for example, or diced onions. We can bring those through and put them in through the processes here to become a more finished product. Baby cosleaf that's coming down from the farm.
That's correct.
Anne was shocked at how big the market for diced, sliced, chopped, shredded and peeled fruit and veg is. She says it's because the food service world has radically changed, with more cafes, restaurants, aged care homes and small supermarkets outsourcing food prep due to staffing and space constraints.
Many people quite prepared to buy a processed product so that they actually don't have to do that particular function in-house. There's businesses such as ours who provide that service to them and enable them to get everything in. They might do the final cooking or they might do the plating out, but the preparation is actually done off-site. It's exciting. We're going into the next step now. We're starting to look at things like meal solutions and all sorts of options which will meet the needs of the community today.
The Stories have invested millions to de-risk their business. The one thing they've never had control over, though, growing outdoors, is the weather. But they think they're close to taking that off the table by moving into protected cropping, high-tech glasshouses like these. That'll be more millions for each hectare.
Given the way the impact of the weather has been over the last decade or so, it's something we feel we need to do at a decent pace. Indoor, you're growing 365 days a year, and with the amount of automation you can put in there, you can get a multiple, sometimes it's 20, 25, 30 times as many kilos per square metre as you would outdoor. And it ticks the boxes in terms of environmental footprint and water use and all those kind of things.
The next chapter in the Stories story will make bankers blush. But this team of three has an impressive track record, and the next generation is fully committed and has the perfect skill set for the age of AI and robots.
We're all very strong-willed and we're all very different, but we all have our own areas of the business that we concentrate on, and we use the strengths that each of us have to the advantage of the business. And I think that's the trick.
Could you ever imagine being a price taker again?
Not for me, no, that's not a position I ever want to be in again. So all the business we do in the future is going to be some sort of an agreed supply and price.